This is the town of Taiji. Here's where the slaughterhouse is right here, and this is where the boats leave from. They go out this harbor, and they go out to a migratory route that the whales and dolphins have been using for thousands of years. And they wait for traffic. And then they literally drive them into shore by putting these long poles in the water and banging on them. They create a wall of sound, and they drive them into this lagoon right here. They seal the mouth of the lagoon, and they let the dolphins settle down. They think the meat tastes better if they're not so stressed out. That's an illusion, of course, because as soon as they start killing them, they get extremely stressed out. Then they bring them by boat, the dead bodies, back into the harbor to the slaughterhouse. And we try to record everything and get this information out to the world. And we think that's the best way one voice can stop this insanity. This is the largest slaughter of dolphins anywhere in the world. It takes place in Japan every year from October up until April.
Welcome to Taiji, the little town with a big secret. Taiji is a small fishing village located on the southern part of the Japanese archipelago at the tip of the peninsula that extends into the Pacific Ocean. This is where, about 400 years ago, Japanese coastal whaling began. Sanctioned by the Japanese government, thousands of dolphins and other small whales are killed in Japan every year. Some are killed with handheld harpoons, others are killed in the so-called drive fisheries. Most are butchered and processed into meat for human consumption, despite the fact that recent studies have shown that dolphin meat is contaminated with toxins such as mercury. Taiji is one of several Japanese coastal towns that carry out the practice of the drive fisheries. Sounds pretty benign, drive fisheries, but a more accurate description would be dolphin slaughter. Entire pods of dolphin are driven ashore and eradicated in the most brutal way imaginable. I'm Richard O'Barry. I used to capture and train dolphins, including the dolphins that were used in the popular television series Flipper. Today, my wife Helena and I work for One Voice, a leading French animal protection organization. One Voice is working to expose the dirty little secret of Taiji with the ultimate goal of abolishing this anachronistic and cruel practice once and for all. With this in mind, a One Voice team traveled to Taiji in January 2004 to document the annual dolphin slaughter. This is a lovely place. It looks like time stopped here in the 1950s. Taiji has one of the most beautiful coastlines in the world. The majority of people here are exceptionally honest and friendly. There's no crime to speak of in this remote fishing village, except these crimes against nature that only involve a handful of people. Not everyone is involved in the dolphin slaughter. In fact, most people in Japan don't even know about it. If they did, they might help us put an end to this madness. The whalers of Taiji usually operate with 13 motorized boats. The boats are about 42 feet long. 2 men are assigned to each boat. The boats have 2 of these 20-foot-long metal poles, one on each side. When the fishermen locate a pod of dolphins, they lower the poles into the water, and banging repeatedly on the poles with a hammer, they create a tremendous noise. As you can see, the pole has a flared or bell-shaped bottom, which amplifies sound. The whalers literally create a wall of sound underwater. This wall of sound is used to gain control of the dolphins. The boats go out in a single file to a migratory route that the dolphins have used for thousands, perhaps millions of years. Here the boats simply wait for traffic. When the dolphins show up, the whalers position their boats in a long row, perfectly evenly spaced. The poles are then lowered into the water and the horrendous banging begins. This is a sound that will live with me forever. The underwater noise functions as an acoustical barrier between the dolphins and the open sea. The dolphins suddenly find themselves trapped between the shoreline and the boats. They're running for their lives to get away from the terrifying sound, but this only brings them closer and closer to the shoreline. The loud noise causes the dolphins to panic. They herd together for safety, and their fear and loss of navigational sense enables the whalers to drive them into the lagoon. Once inside the killing lagoon, the whalers drop 2 nets into place at the entrance, sealing the dolphins' fate.
They're going for the lagoon, unfortunately. They're running for their life. Can't tell exactly what they are just yet. They're running like crazy. They're panic-stricken.
With the animals trapped in a small area, it's an easy task for the whalers to force them into shallow water and drive sharp hooks and knives into their bodies, bleeding them to death. The dolphins thrash violently about, their eyes wide open as the whalers' hooks penetrate their skin and continue to cut their flesh. The water turns red with blood, and the dolphins emit high-pitched whistles and cries of pain. They take as long as 6 minutes to die. 6 minutes. The whalers say that the dolphin drive is something they're proud of. They say this is part of their culture. Some people have the misconception that because something can be labeled traditional or cultural, it automatically justifies its continued existence. But that's not so. The bloody sport of bullfighting, for example, is considered traditional in some countries. Not allowing women to vote has been traditional in some countries. But does that make the practice right? Of course not. The dolphin slaughter is all about meat for money. But during a meeting with the whalers, we realized that that's not all. When we offered to financially support whalers who are willing to stop killing dolphins and find another way of making a living, this is the answer we get. Oh, that won't work because we don't just hunt dolphins for their meat. We kill them because they eat too much fish. The translator explained. The whalers view the dolphin hunt as a form of pest control. Pest control. This is the first time that the whalers have admitted to killing dolphins in an effort to keep the dolphin population down, and in doing so, make the ocean fish available to themselves. We point out that the oceans are depleted due to overfishing and pollution, but they don't seem to want to hear that. From their perspective, they are simply killing the competition. What they are doing, indeed, can be called dolphin genocide. When the massacre is over, the bodies are hauled away to the slaughterhouse for processing. We try to photograph the butchering process in order to get this information out to the Japanese people who have a right to know about it. But as you can see, we're constantly blocked by the Taiji whalers. They don't want the public to know about their dirty little secret. And a big part of their job consists of hiding their activities. At One Voice, we go out of our way to work within the framework of the law during the photographic documentation process. But sometimes things get heated and the potential for violence is high, especially during the actual killing and the butchering. The whalers don't want these images to get out to the public. They know that world opinion would stop this barbaric practice once and for all. There's another aspect of the dolphin hunt that's being kept very quiet. Mercury poisoning. The Environmental Investigation Agency carried out 4 surveys of Japanese supermarkets from March 2001 to February 2003. In total, 58 samples were purchased from the retail outlets across Japan. Chemical analysis revealed that the average level of mercury was more than 5 times the maximum allowable level, while the average concentration of methyl mercury was nearly 4 times the maximum level. But the Taiji whalers don't want to know.
He doesn't know. He doesn't want to know. He doesn't want to know.
He doesn't want to know if his body is poisoned. Does he want to know if he's poisoning the bodies of other Japanese that he's selling the meat to?
じゃあ他の人にイルカの肉を売って買って食べてる人の体が
食べたい人が食べればいい。
He says that anyone who wants to eat dolphin meat should eat dolphin meat.
We had traveled to Taiji to document the method used by the whalers to capture and kill dolphins. What we found, however, was something even more shocking. The dolphin massacre of Taiji is supported, even encouraged, by people from the dolphin captivity industry. One morning we show up at sunrise as usual, expecting to witness the slaughter of about 100 dolphins that had been driven into the lagoon the day before. To our surprise, we see about 30 dolphin trainers from several dolphinariums and aquariums are gathered by the killing lagoon. They all wear wetsuits. They're here to select their pick of the best-looking dolphins. They have all the usual equipment used for dolphin transport: stretchers, ropes, transport boxes, all that stuff. When the whalers discover us with our cameras, they become very hostile. They block us from getting close to the lagoon, and some make throat-cutting gestures. We eventually have to retreat to our car and lock ourselves in for safety. We call the police, who showed up and defend the whalers. We file a complaint with the neighboring police departments, including the Shingu and Osaka police. The next day, about 100 bottlenose dolphin are driven into the lagoon. A group this size consists of dolphins of all ages: adults, juveniles, pregnant and nursing females, and several babies. They're exhausted and panic-stricken from the chase, which lasted for several hours. They're hyperventilating, breathing rapidly and very hard, their breath sounding like a human cough. Swimming fast in a tight circle, the dolphins are colliding forcibly in their attempt to find a way out, but there is none. The dolphins are doomed, and they seem to know it. Helena and I returned to the lagoon the next morning to find the dolphin trainers and the whalers working side by side once again. This time they're less aggressive with us, but still determined to prevent us from videotaping the scene. We later learned that the various police stations have warned the whalers not to harm the One Voice team. This time we're able to document the violent capture and selection process. The dolphins are staying at the far end of the lagoon, as far from the dolphin trainers as possible. At 6:30 a.m., the process begins. The whalers are dragging the net closer to the shore. The dolphins' panic increases as the space they are confined in gets smaller and smaller. The dolphin trainers get in the water with long pieces of rope. They use the rope to tie around the dolphin's tail fluke and drag them into shallow water. There's a lot of yelling and turmoil as the divers subdue the dolphins and drag them ashore. Mothers and babies are violently separated as the dolphin trainers pull the animals out of the water, and we can hear the dolphins cry of distress. Trainers line the dolphins up in very shallow water close to the rocky beach. The dolphins have never experienced gravity before. Helplessly grounded like this, all of their body weight puts pressure on their internal organs, the lungs, liver, and heart. This is extremely stressful for them, especially the pregnant females. We see dolphin trainers and whalers working together, subduing the dolphins with extreme brutality, capturing them with ropes and hauling the terrified animals out of the water. We see beach dolphins accidentally beating each other up with their powerful tail flukes in a frenzy as they try to get back in the water. The dolphin trainers simply stand by and watch as some of the dolphins, in a frantic effort to escape from the divers, get entangled in the capture nets. Several dolphins struggle in the nets for a long time. The dolphin trainers make no attempt to help them, and unable to reach the surface to breathe, the dolphins die a slow and painful death of suffocation. The dolphin trainers begin the process of selecting the dolphins that fit the desired criteria. The selection process drags on for hours, and for all of this time, the grounded dolphins are piled up high and dry under the blue tarp that they've erected in order to hide from our cameras. They are suffering, but the trainers show no compassion, no mercy. They focus on the task at hand, selecting dolphins of the desired gender, size, and age. They're usually looking for young females, those that are so young that they depend on their mother's milk for survival are not chosen. Neither are the ones that have been injured as a result of the rough treatment. We constantly look at the trainers to see a reaction, a sign of compassion, but we see none. Dolphins are suffocating and sustaining injuries all around them, but their cries for help are met with complete indifference from the trainers. As a former dolphin trainer myself, I'm shocked by their lack of compassion. A dolphin calf, less than a year old, got separated from its mother in the chaos and is swimming all by itself in the corner close to the shore. We had noticed how its mother tried to remain close to the calf throughout the ordeal, but she can't protect herself or her offspring from what happens next. Two divers get in the water and subdue her. They tie a piece of rope around her tail fluke and drag her ashore. The trainers measure her, inspect her overall condition. She fulfills their criteria, and with the help of the whalers, the trainers force the struggling dolphin into the stretcher. Hanging from the side of the boat, she's taken away. Her calf is among the last to be rounded up by the trainers. But the calf is too young to fit the dolphinaria's criteria and is not among the chosen. This is a living nightmare. This is a heartbreaking scene to watch. We want to scream and cry, and sometimes we do. These images will stay with us forever.
There's a mother and baby here. Baby is dead, the mother's lying by it, almost dead.
When the trainers have finally selected the dolphins that they want, the dolphins that are too old, too young, too big, have too many blemishes, or are injured, are just hauled back into the water. How many of them have suffered internal injuries from the ordeal, we will never know. Many have difficulty swimming, showing signs of broken and dislocated pectoral fins, swimming erratically and breathing very hard. Some dolphins, succumbing to exhaustion, shock, and injuries, simply sink to the bottom, never to surface again. One day, two large, expensive-looking trucks showed up in Taiji. We watch and film as the dolphins are taken from their cages by boat. They're hoisted up into the trucks to be taken to various dolphinariums and aquariums.
They're moving them to the transport truck now and off to the airport. Looks like they have 4 dolphins.
This crude method of transporting the dolphins from their cage to the truck goes against all rules and regulations of proper marine mammal husbandry. There's no telling how much water the dolphins are swallowing, how much is going into their blowhole, and the dolphin trainers don't seem to care. When we ask the whalers what will become of the ones that have not been selected by the dolphin trainers, we're told that they'll be killed and butchered. But according to records at the Fisheries Agency in Wakayama Prefecture, 4 of the dolphins were killed during the capture, and others were let go. It's impossible to know how many survived this traumatic experience. The dolphin trainers will tell you that they rescued the dolphins from being massacred. The truth is, this capture was generated to meet a booming demand for dolphins to be exploited in dolphin shows and dolphin swim programs. This dolphin drive took place because dolphinariums had placed an order with the whalers of Taiji. This was not a rescue. It was a deliberate, cruel, and extremely violent capture carried out in a joint effort between the dolphin trainers and the whalers to meet the dolphinarium's constant demand for more and more dolphins. Historically, the capture of dolphins has been highly secretive and rarely photographed. And for decades, the multi-billion-dollar dolphin captivity industry has claimed that they are capturing and displaying dolphins so that they can sensitize the public to the necessity of protecting dolphins in nature. We love dolphins is the dolphin captivity industry's first line of defense when confronted with the questionable ethics of capturing and confining these free-ranging, social, and highly complex marine mammals. Today, these very same dolphin trainers who claim to love dolphins have shown us the dark side of the dolphin captivity industry. The public will be shocked to learn that the Japanese dolphin massacre and the use of dolphins for public display are strongly connected. The whalers and the dolphin trainers, working side by side to exploit the dolphins in the most inhumane manner imaginable, have a symbiotic relationship. The evidence obtained by one voice is compelling and irrefutable. Some of the people who are doing business with the whalers in Taiji are Westerners. We noticed 2 of them several times during our stay in Taiji, and are able to photograph them at Dolphin Base, which is a captive dolphin facility in Taiji that brokers dolphins from the dolphin drives to various dolphinariums around the world. Every time these 2 Western dolphin trainers spot us, they scatter like roaches when you turn on the light. We chase after them every time they run, but they always get away from us before we can question them. The trainers are as paranoid about being caught in the act as the whalers are. Unfortunately, the whalers were successful in blocking one voice and journalists from photographing the grisly scenes we witnessed. But we obtained documentation of an earlier capture in Japan from our colleagues, and here's some of that footage. One voice is trying to find out the destination of these dolphins in hopes of stopping the permitting process. We want to know which dolphinariums are behind this, and we want to know the following from the International Marine Animal Trainers Association, the American Association of Zoological Parks and Aquariums, the Alliance of Marine Mammal Parks and Aquariums, the European Association for Aquatic Mammals, and the dolphin captivity industry in general. What is your official position on the annual Japanese dolphin massacres? These organizations say that they are displaying dolphins so that they can educate the public to the importance of respecting and protecting dolphins. This video documentation is the smoking gun that proves that all of this is false. Members of the captive dolphin industry and the Japanese whalers are working together to exploit the animals in the most inhumane and gruesome way imaginable. Some dolphinariums support the dolphin slaughter by buying dolphins from the dolphin drives. Others support it by not speaking out against it. They are simply not policing their own industry. One voice is calling on the multi-billion-dollar dolphin captivity industry to stop doing business with the Japanese whalers and to stop supporting the Japanese drive fisheries. Finally, we are asking them to stop hiding their head in the sand and take a stand on this urgent issue. This is the largest slaughter of dolphins in the world. More than 20,000 are brutally massacred each year in Japan, and it must be abolished once and for all. For dolphinariums to support and profit from the drive fisheries is simply deplorable. It's a scientific fact that dolphins and other whales are self-aware creatures. They routinely make choices and decisions regarding the details of their lives. They're endowed by nature with freedom of choice, and thus they are entitled to freedom.